have a YouTube channel and I want to share some information with my fans. Okay, it's okay for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. The first one, what's your advice for beginners in English?
Advice for beginners in English. That's a
Yes.
good question. So it kind of really depends, right? Some people think that they are beginners and they speak a little bit, right, or know a few words. Some others think that maybe it's completely new, right? They know nothing. So it just depends on everyone's learning objectives and learning style. But I would suggest, for example, and I've seen it myself with a lot of friends here in Colombia where I live, is that they are able to learn English with things that they enjoy. I think that's the most important thing, being able to enjoy it. So the most important thing is if you are doing it while you like it, while you are really feeling good about it. If you look at it as a class, or if you look at it as like I have to learn it, or I must, then it starts to become kind of a chore and it becomes something negative. So I would suggest for beginners to start listening to songs that they like and start translating those songs, watching movies that they like in English, and enjoy it and really look for new words and practice those words that you learn that are new for you.
Yeah. Okay. And can you please may you suggest some source like sites, books to beginners?
So books for beginners, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, so um, I don't know if it's for beginners, but I would suggest this book. It's not very long. It's my favorite book.
Okay.
It might be for beginners, or not completely for beginners, but it might get you exposed a little bit to reading in English. And I would read The Alchemist. It's actually written in Portuguese, but it was translated to English, and it's very, very good. So it's one of my favorite books, and I always recommend it because I think that it's easy to enjoy and easy to get into the rhythm of it. So even if it's a little bit harder, it's more enjoyable.
Okay. Yeah. And I have some words, please, and I want to know what the difference between these words. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. The first one is what the difference between love, like, and admire.
What's the difference between love and admire?
And like
Love and like.
and admire. Yeah, three words.
Oh, those three. Okay, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
type them here. Love, admire, and like.
Yes.
All right. So admire, love, and like are a little bit more similar, and admire would be kind of in a different category, right?
Okay.
So when we talk about love, it could be used in many ways. So we could use it with friends, for example. You could tell a friend I love you, or you could tell your family I love you. But this usually has a lot to do, love is a lot to do more with emotion, right? Emotion. And it has to do a lot with more personal emotion and a very, very high intensity, right? So I could like something or I could love something, right? When I like something, it's like, hey, I like it, it's pretty good. When I love it, it's I feel I can't live without it, right? I feel like I have a lot of emotion towards it. I could like, for example, my car, or I could really love my car. Like I feel like it's part of me, right? And so those are the two differences, just an emotion, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But when we admire, this is usually a term for people, right? And so when we admire someone, it's that we want to be like them, right? When we admire someone, we look up to them or want to be like them, right? Or we think that they are great. It's a very great person. You don't have to love them, but you could admire them. You could say, wow, they are so good at what they do.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And the second one, what's the difference between mistake, wrong, and fault?
All right, mistake, wrong, and fault.
Yes.
So a mistake is an action that we do. It's usually just an action, okay? So mistake. Mistake is an action. So I might, by mistake, right? For example, mispronounce the name of your city, right? To me, because I live and I speak a different language and I live far away, I might not know how to pronounce it very well. So I might make, right, the action, make the mistake of pronouncing it wrong, right? So it's an action that we do incorrectly. It's an incorrect action. When we talk about wrong, we could talk about many different ways, but usually one of the ways that we use wrong is, for example, between making a decision of right and wrong, right? So one thing is what we should do and what we shouldn't do. So it goes more into ethics, right? When we talk about more like ethics, right and wrong decisions, right? So that's a little bit more about our choices, right? It's not so much of a physical or active or an action, right? An action, we make a mistake, right? It happens. But wrong is when we do something wrong, when we know we shouldn't do that, but we still do it, right? Or we do it wrong. That's in ethics. Or sometimes we accidentally do it wrong, right? So it could be viewed a little bit different. We accidentally do it wrong. And fault, so it is my fault, or it is not my fault, right? It's just that feeling of when we do it wrong, right? It is my fault. Maybe I did something wrong, but it was my fault, or maybe it wasn't my fault, right? So just to put it into a little bit of context, I'm going to give you an example, okay? So I made the mistake of mispronouncing your city. I made the mistake of confusing, we could say confusing your city, right? Your city with another one. So this is a mistake, I made it, right? It's an action. And I said the name wrong, right? So I said the name wrong. Or I could, for example, say, it was the wrong city. It was the wrong city, right? So the incorrect one. Correct one. And but since I do not know a lot about geography, it was not my fault, right? We could say something like that to try to use all of those. So those are a little bit different. We can use them all together in one single paragraph.
Okay, thank you so much. And the last question, please. What's the difference between clear, remove, and delete?
Which one was the first one? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Clear.
Clear.
Yes. Clear, remove, and delete.
Clear, remove, and delete.
Yes.
Those are very similar. This is a really hard one, actually. Those are a little bit difficult, but it's hard to explain, but I'm going to try my best, okay? And so,
okay, never mind.
When we talk about clearing something, we usually talk about kind of, without specifics, we kind of move everything away. Right? We take everything away, we move it out of the way. That's clearing, right? We move it out of the way so that our path is clear, right? So imagine if we're walking around and there's something obstructing our way, or something that is kind of an object in between. We move it out of the way, we clear it out of the way so that our path is clear, right? And we can continue to walk. That's what we do, but we use it as an expression, right? Sometimes, hey, clear up, right? Or clear, I don't know how to use it here in an example, but we use it, clear up the way, right? So move it out of the way. When we talk about remove, right, it could be with inside something. So for example, if I have my cat is inside a box, right, I want to remove him from the box. I want to take him out, right? Take him out or take him away from something, right? And delete is usually using computers, right? When we talk about deleting information, so erasing information is another way that we could say it, is just kind of making it not exist anymore, completely making it disappear. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you. It's a great information, you know.
I hope it was something that could help you and anyone else understanding this information. And
Yeah.
so I know that these concepts are very similar, right? So explaining them is a little bit difficult, and understanding them, I'm sure it's also very difficult, right? And so
Yeah.
those are things that just come with time. When we practice, we kind of use we use a lot of them interchangeably. So we use one in replacement of the other. But we get used to it. It's something that we kind of just evolve, right, naturally. But yes, it's good that you're asking these questions, so you get that difference exactly of what this mean, right? And so
Yeah.
sometimes they're very, very similar.